Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Joanne Shear-Parkin, and tonight is Sunday night upline training, and I'm so excited to be your presenter tonight. And so I want to welcome everybody. Tonight's topic is resolving concerns and close. Just a little bit about myself. So if you have not met me before, Joanne Shear-Parkin, registered dietitian, master's level nutritionist. I actually, let me mute people again. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to mute all again. So,
hey, Joanne, can you make sure you're recording to the cloud?
I am recording to the cloud. Does it? It says I'm recording. Let's see. Hold on. Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. Let me try again. Hold on, just a minute. Let me make sure that I'm recording.
Yep, I can see it now. You are. You're all good.
All right. Okay. Let me start over, everybody. Welcome. This is Sunday night. This is the upline training with LifeVantage, and so I just want to welcome everybody again. And again, my name is Joanne Shear-Parkin, registered dietitian, master's level nutritionist, and a Pro 7 independent LifeVantage distributor. So I've been with LifeVantage now, it is 9 years, just a little over 9 years. And so it's just been, this has been just a huge blessing in my life. A little bit about my background. I actually was introduced to LifeVantage when I was working as a head dietitian at a heart specialty hospital in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I was really introduced to this by a cardiologist that was on staff. And so when I saw the scientific validation on Protandim Nerf 2, our flagship product, I mean, I knew that I wouldn't be able to stay quiet about it. And I knew I would be wanting to tell everybody because I saw this as a breakthrough in wellness and nutrition and in medicine. I knew this was going to be a big deal. I just felt it. I knew it. So I just started very, just, an hour or two here and there. And I just jumped in. I just started talking to people, and here I am 9 years later, and just really loving life. I was in Sioux Falls at the time, and I joined now. I'm in Arizona. I've remarried a wonderful, wonderful husband, Jim Parkin, and we live south of Phoenix in a retirement community. I'm 70 years old, going on, what do you say? I know Maria's on here. Maybe 40 or 50 biologically. So I really do give a lot of credit to our awesome, fabulous products that are helping me to stay well and healthy. So with that, I'm going to start out tonight because, the world around us seems like it's kind of going crazy, I think, with this coronavirus pandemic. I think that it has, and rightly so, people are fearful. People are uncertain about their jobs. People are getting laid off. Families are concerned. I mean, it is a real, those are real concerns, but I can just tell you something that has really helped me. I'm going to share this with you, that has helped me over the years. And that is, in fact, I have this prayer posted in my office. And it also probably helped a lot of people that would come in my office, and we'd have a talk about what was going on. And I would point to this prayer, and it was like it would have this calming effect on the conversation. And I think we're all familiar with the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So with all of this craziness, I've had to shut off the news. I'm thankful I don't have cable television. We've canceled that about a couple of years ago. Don't have that blasting in the background. All that negativity, that can actually affect your mindset when it comes to building this business. It can affect your immune system. We are trying to keep our immune system at a really high signal right now, right? So all that negativity, all that fear can come in and start affecting us. And so this is just one thing that I have learned, and this is what this prayer taught me, is to focus on the things I can change. So what is it in your life that around you right now that you can change? Think about that and focus on that. And, I think one thing that you can change, and all of you that are on here tonight, tells me that you want to grow your business. That's one thing in your life you want to change, and that's why you're here, right? And just think, right now, the poor families that have a storefront business, right, that are going through those struggles. So 9 years ago, I dug the well before I was thirsty. So I am so thankful I said yes to LifeVantage, and that I can be here today and talking to all of you. I'm so blessed, and thank you so much for being with me tonight. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about how to overcome concerns and resolve concerns. And it's almost impossible to talk about that without, putting the clothes in there. And in fact, I think that follow-up, resolving concerns, and close are just kind of like one big subject, right? And I'm putting this diagram up, and this is something that I saw from day one when I first joined LifeVantage like 9 years ago, was the proven plan. And we know that mindset is really probably, it's really like 95% really of this business, right? Us having the right mindset. That's why we need to focus on the things we can change and the things that we cannot change, right? And so it's mindset, but then there are certain skills that you need to develop. And there are 6 of them. Actually, there's one more I'm going to add. So there are these 6 skills that you need to develop. And we talk about how LifeVantage, how this is actually, it's a simple business. It's hard work, but it is a simple business because once you learn these 6 steps or 7, then you just get really proficient at these. And that's the skill set, and that's the skill part of our business, right? There's the mindset part, the skill set. So it's the getting started, the checklist, databasing, invite, telling your story, then follow up, resolving concerns, and close. And there's another one, and that is promote events. Promote events. So let's talk about follow up. And I want to start with that first, because that's going to lead into the close. That's going to lead into resolving concerns, and then the close. So following up, this is something I have learned, is that you want to plan the follow-up before the presentation. You've invited somebody to a presentation, whether it's online, it's a Zoom, or whether it's an in-home presentation. You are already thinking, what am I going to do for the follow-up for this person? You're going to be looking at all the Facebook pages. You're going to check the Big Blue calendar. You're going to, like here, we have WhatsApp, Arizona meetings. You're going to go check all those sources, and you're going to see, which one of those Thursday night opportunity webinars. We have so many opportunities. So you're going to look and see, what am I going to use for a follow-up? You're going to probably even be thinking about what would be a good video. What would be a good YouTube presentation or video to send to those people. So then the thing is, you will follow up within 24 hours after the first exposure. This is critical. And maintaining a record of the number of touches. You're also going to follow up with customers. I follow up with my customers. I invite them to Zoom webinars. I invite them to meetings. I know why they became customers. Maybe it was because they have a health concern. I'll send them, I'll find something on Nerve2 and that health condition, and I'll send that to them. So I follow up with my customers, because what is it? 60% of our distributors were at one time customers. And I have had customers that have been customers for 5 years. 5 years later, join and upgrade to a distributor. And like I said, the homework before the follow-up. And then if they're not ready to get started, you're going to follow up every 60 to 90 days, and you're going to use third-party validation. The third-party validation is key, especially if any of you on here that are new and you've just joined, and it's like you're thinking, I don't remember that Nerve2 thing. How is that different from Nerve1 and NAD? And, you're like almost feel a little paralyzed. Let me tell you, you don't need to know any of that to start. What you need to know is your upline phone number. This is what you need to know, because when you send out the ABC News piece and you follow up, and the minute they ask a question, you're going to connect your prospect to your upline, right? And that can be done by third-party validation through a phone call, can be done through a Zoom if you have that skill in that technology. But that is going to be key for you. And the person that I think that I know, the couple that I know, and this is on how many times the distributor follow-up, in terms of how many distributors follow up. And this is, probably many of you heard this before, is that how many times do distributors follow up after the initial exposure? And you'll see here that half of the people only follow up one time and then stop. But those that persist, 6% of people that follow up 5 times or more, right? They're the ones that really close the sale, close the people, and it will boost their enrollments. And the people that are really good at this, that I know of anybody in my downline that is really, really exceptional at this, more than anybody, Sean and Michelle Poe. Now you know why they're pro 9s, right? They are the genius at the follow-up. They are the genius. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to in their downline that have said, yeah, you know, Michelle, she was just persistent. You know, 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, you know, she's following up.
Yeah.
People out there, you need to.
Oh, really?
Okay. Hopefully that'll take care of that. Thank you. So this is critically important, right? Is that you persist, that you don't give up. And you don't do this in a way where you're really pestering people, because you're going to make it about them, right? You're going to find something that's really going to resonate with them. So let's talk about objections and concerns. So you've done your initial presentation, you've been really great. You've gotten them to a Zoom webinar, you've gotten your prospect to a home meeting. Then you've gotten, you know, you're following up with them. They have a question, and then they start coming at you with all kinds of concerns and objections. And basically it boils down to almost all of these concerns and objections will boil down to this, and I want you to keep this in mind. Will this product or this business work for me? This is really what will hold people back more than anything else, is that they don't think they could do this. This is especially challenging, okay, for me, well, you know, really, because people think, oh, you know, Joanne, you're a dietitian. Oh yeah, that's easy for you, right? I mean, I could never do what you're doing. And I've actually had to struggle with that over the years with that, because people, you know, they see that, they get to thinking that they have to be, you know, a dietitian, or they have to know all the science. And, you know, that's my passion is, of course, is all the science. And because I've not seen anything like this before with other products from other companies, right? The level of scientific validation, that gets me excited. And then, of course, I have to really be careful that I'm not too polished or that I'm throwing out too much science. It just overwhelms people and they get paralyzed. They don't think they can do this. So I think one thing I picked up on the training yesterday with Success Mastery, and Carrie Dickey talked about this, keeping it simple, right? So people can believe that they can do this. I love that when Dr. Gordon, when he recruited me, and I went to that presentation that he did, and I was thinking about all the family members and friends I had in my brain that really needed the protanum nerve 2, and I saw it as a breakthrough. But in my brain, I was like way too busy. I was full-time as a dietitian in a middle manager position in a hospital. Sometimes I get called in on weekends, you know, if the staff didn't show up. I was in a leadership position in the American Dietetic Association. My husband had passed away the year before. I had this real estate company business that I was running. I had all these renters, right, and these aging properties. In my brain, I'm like, there's no way I can do this. And so I told him that. And he said, okay, Joanne, this is how simple this is. When you sign up as a distributor, and he said, you need to be a distributor, because he said, when you sign up a distributor, you get your own e-commerce website. What you do is you see this video, you just press play. You send this to people, you tell them to play it. You call them back. What did you like about what you saw? Did you like answer their questions? Ask them if they could see themselves taking this product, and then, or if they could see themselves sharing it, a couple questions. And then they go to your website, they order the product, and the company ships it. And I go, and he says, oh, and they send you a check. And I go, oh, you know, oh, maybe I can do this business. Maybe I could do that. Maybe I could, yeah, because I knew I would have a hard time, you know, zipping the lip. So he did it in such a great way. I love how he overcame my objections. If Dr. Gordon hadn't said that and hadn't told me that, hey, I think you can really do this, Joanne, and this is how you do it. He gave me a solution, right? about how I could actually do this business. And what if I had not done this business? I don't really quite know where I'd be. I might be still working at the hospital, right? Besides time, I really feel like time is a big one, right? People feel like they don't have time. And I know how you feel when it comes to a time objection, because I've been there, I actually was there, and I can tell my story. I know how you feel. I felt the same way when I was at the hospital and I was overwhelmed. My husband died, but I found out that I could set aside 2 hours twice a week where I could send out this video and I could follow up with people. And then once a week, I would bring them to, a home meeting, or I'd tell them about, a hotel meeting or something. And that's how I got started. And so the objections are going to be they're pretty standard. I think that, there's going to be probably one of these 5. I mean, I think I've heard maybe all of them. Sometimes their objection is it's not right timing. And that is probably one of the hardest to overcome in terms of objections. For example, let's say they're changing jobs, they're going to be moving, they have a spouse with a very serious illness. What I tell them is I say, well, could you see the health benefits of our products? Could you see yourself? Could you see yourself taking these products? In the meantime, could you be a customer? You could upgrade anytime. And then it would be okay then if I sent you information on this or that, and then follow up until the timing is right for people, right? And I think we've heard many of those stories about people who that exactly is what happened. I think the one about the pyramid, I think that's a pretty easy one. I think what I've learned is to ask questions. If they ask a question, I'll come back and say, well, what do you know about pyramids? Or they might say, is this network marketing? Then I'll say, well, what do you know about network marketing? Tell me more. And, you might assume if they ask if it's network marketing that it might be negative, but I can tell you, I get more positive responses than I do negative when they ask, is this network marketing? And they'll say, yeah, I was in a network marketing company, but it just wasn't the right time. If they say, is this a pyramid? And you might say, well, no, and this is what a pyramid is. Pyramids are illegal. There's no product. All of our income that's paid in our business is based on sales of products. So that's not a concern here, right? This is not a pyramid. Besides, we're publicly traded on the NASDAQ. We rang the bell on the NASDAQ. Do you think that NASDAQ would invite a pyramid scheme, right? So you just kind of, give them some facts, but and it's really great, to ask questions. To say, they'll say, well, I'm not a salesperson, and I tell people, I say, well, that's okay, because when I joined LifeVantage, I'm not a salesperson either. So I can't teach you how to be a professional salesperson, but I can teach you and I can mentor you and how to be successful and how you can build a business in LifeVantage. I will be your mentor and mentor you. So there's no, so I can't teach you professional sales, but I can teach you how to do this. Would you join me with this? I can be your mentor. Then I don't have time. I've covered that one. I don't have the money. Okay, here's what I have learned. 99% of the time, it's not the money. It's not about not having enough money. Because then I ask them, if money were not an option, is there anything else that's holding you back? And then they'll probably come back, and they might come back and say, my spouse is negative. They didn't want to tell you. Or they might come back and say, well, I'm not a salesperson. They might come back and say, well, I heard that, or I saw something negative on the internet about LifeVantage or about our products. See, that's why you have to probe deep and ask questions and find out what is it really that is holding them back. that was, and I love how Carrie Dickey talked about that, about the training yesterday. If you get, when the recording is sent out, watch that, that training from the Success Mastery training yesterday. It was phenomenal. And Carrie Dickey does such a superb job about how to ask the right questions. And when it comes to closing, because this all leads into closing, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how interested are you in enrolling today? I like to ask people, when can I help you get started? Is there anything getting in the way of you getting started? All of these are great questions to ask, because if you don't ask them, you're not going to know. It's just going to be hanging out in the air. It's okay to ask them. Where are you in this process, in this journey with me? Are you ready? Can I help you get started today? Are you ready? Do you need more information? So just keep asking important, right questions. Now, when you're closing, I have learned, and this is something I do for closing, if I'm giving a home meeting, and I have found this to be really successful. I have, for every guest that I have at my home meetings, I put together a little packet. I have a little packet that I can hand them. And in my packet, I have maybe I'll print out some flyers if I know what their product interests might be, right? But I have an earnings disclosure statement, an enrollment pack spreadsheet, and a product price list and order form. And then what I do then after the meeting, I can pull those forms out and I can show them what's in the enrollment packs, and I show them the value they're going to get for their money. They can look at the product price list, and we can go through and we can circle, and I say, well, circle which products interest you the most, and let's look at that. And so then you're just basically asking them, what of these options do you like the best? The earnings disclosure statement is really critical too, because you're sending that home with them, right? And that they're going to have that in their hands, and they're going to be looking at that. And then you have your computer, your iPad set up, your phone. You can enroll them on the spot. But I find getting this information, having them actually in the meeting, sit down and look at this. Sure, you can bring it up online. I mean, there's all these documents are online. But I have found there's something about actually the document, handing them the document where they actually have to look at it. And that has really been successful for me in closing at a home meeting. With that, I was going to talk about closing when we're on an online Zoom meeting. So let me go back here real quick. So if you've done a Zoom webinar with someone and you've invited your upline to do the Zoom webinar, and if you're new and your upline is done the Zoom webinar, then you just can turn it over to them to do the close, right? And then what you do is, if it's a three-way call, you're on a Zoom webinar, you're going to immediately stay on the line. You're going to get back to that person, and then you're going to try to get them started right away. We also have, of course, I love the share cart feature right now that we have with enrolling people. And if you don't know how to do that, you want to get with your upline and learn how to do that. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm just about out of time here, everybody. I'm really excited that so many of you are joining me tonight. I hope that you all have a very, very wonderful, blessed week. And remember, what's the key message tonight is about focusing on the things that we can change this week. When you get off the webinar, make a list of things right now that 3 things that that you can change, and what can you focus on that you can change in your life today. Okay, everybody? Thank you. It's been wonderful having you on. Thank you very much for joining me, and God bless and have a great week.
Thanks, Joanne. Love you.
Love you too.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Joanne.
everyone.
Thank you, sweetie. Love you.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thanks so much.
Great job,
That's all.
Joanne. Love you. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Love you too. All. Take care.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
That's fabulous. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Joanne.